So the first question is how to read one book a week. And the simple answer is you allocate time to do so. I think, I have Kindle, and every single book, it tells me the average time it takes to finish that book for the average reader. I read a little bit quicker than the average reader. So most books, it's anywhere from like 5 hours to 10 hours on average. So if you think about like a book that's 5 hours, okay, awesome. You know that you have to read on average, I think, that's what, like 45 minutes every day. If it's a book that's 10 hours, okay, on average, you're gonna have to read maybe like an hour and a half. Now, a couple ways to speed things up, and keep in mind, guys, I've read probably 300 plus, I'd say probably around like 250 plus books at this point. The thing that you need to remember, and the thing that matters the most, is you don't need to complete the book. And you don't need to and this is something that I felt so much guilt about when I first started reading, was I had to read every single page. Now what I do prior to reading a book is I go online and I look for the book summary. So that way I can already focus and I can have a clear roadmap of what I'm gonna get from that book, and which parts I should probably speed read, and which parts I should really focus on. And that gives me sort of clear direction. And I also just mentally really quick set intentions of what I want from that book. Between reading summaries of the book, and here's the thing, it's not like we're reading fiction books, so it doesn't matter if it kind of spoils what you're gonna learn later in the book, because this is for the purpose of education, or at least the way that I read. Between reading the summaries as well as setting intention going into the book, my reticular activation, my selective focus, will know which pieces to pick out. So that is how I read one book a week. It's, first of all, I just set aside 45 minutes to an hour every single day to read. And I do that at the end of the day. Most of the time I actually read before bed. For some people, reading nonfiction before bed gets their mind working on overdrive and they can't sleep. For me, I could literally read, right now I'm reading Ray Dalio, The Big Debt Crisis. I could read that book before bed for 45 minutes, and 15 minutes prior to the time that I'm meant to fall asleep, I'm tired, I'm dead. So obviously just setting the right amount of time weekly to do that, as well as reading the summaries and knowing that it's fine. There are parts of the book that you can kind of skim read and read ahead. And the last thing is, it's okay to put a book down and not finish it. As I said, this is something I had so much guilt about, but there was a really bad book I read last week that was just honestly horrendous. And what I did was I just read the rest of it, because within the first 15% of reading that book, it was quite clear that the author, I'm not gonna say the author's name. And by the way, they were in the realm of digital marketing, so I'm not gonna, as I said, mention their name. I saw one of their ads, and I never ever get any of these free plus shipping books, because they're always just it's always just pure crap. But this one time, his sales page and long form copy and all the experts that vouched for it, it was incredible. So I got the book on Kindle actually. And quite clearly, as someone who knows a thing or two about digital marketing, it was just a horrendous book. It was terrible, overpromised in every single way. But anyways, long story short, a book like that, I read the first 15%, realized it was gonna be totally crap, and then from there skim read the rest. So just realize that you starting a book doesn't mean that you have to read every page word by word, and it doesn't even mean that you need to finish the book. That's the other thing that I used to have a lot of guilt about. These days, if a book is really terrible, I will skim read the rest of it. I pretty much always finish a book, but don't feel any guilt around it, because as I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you're reading the way I'm reading, it is for educational purposes. And if you're not getting anything out of the book, that's fine, move on to the next one.